Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at basically at the purple Zenkai Super Saiyan God SS Vegeta and how good he is with his Zenkai. Now I have him at Zenkai 6. This means he has both Zenkai abilities unlocked. Of course, ideally you'd want him at max Zenkai possible, but I think this gives us a good enough idea of taking a look at him and seeing whether it's worth it. And I think personally for me, based on the appearance of things, he does definitely serve a purpose on his team. It's just for obviously how long and how much of an impact he will actually make on the PvP meta. But let's take a look at him. So with his Zenkai, things have changed a lot for him. His Zenkai main ability, Don't Underestimate Mortals, and especially not Saiyan, allows him to draw a special card, restore ally health, restore key, and give plus 30% blast damage inflicted by your allies or your buddy for 30 timer counts. It also shortens the ally substitution count, which is something incredibly helpful. By the way, you can see the gear that I'm using on screen. If you are looking for obviously copying it across, and I'm using a single Zenkai boosted Vegeta in a strong future, but not super strong future team. Now, in terms of his passives, these have obviously quite a bit of impact, but they're not bad. He's definitely more utilitarian based character. His Timeless Ties, basically every time he uses a strike or blast card, he restores his own key. He also increases blast damage inflicted. He also nullifies special actions from enemies when performing cover change. He gives increased damage to allies for 15 timer counts every time he uses a strike or blast card. And when he is switched to standby, he randomly draws one new card when you have 3 or fewer and restores ally key by 30. His other passives are also equally as decent. Big damage inflicted buffs, damage reduction buffs, and when he is defeated, he will give all of your future or Vegeta clan units 20% health, as well as giving them a 35% damage inflicted increase. He also reduces your enemy's Dragon Ball, so Vegeta being defeated is actually a great way of ruining your opponent's tempo and boosting your remaining units. On top of that, that's not the only thing. When he enters the battlefield, he will inflict a attribute downgrade to the opposition, and when the enemy activates a special move, Ultimate or Awakened Arts, he will restore his own health by 15%, nullify unfavorable element factors, and shorten substitution counts by 5. Now, facing down the Mastermind is his final tag, but it only applies for the number of Vegeta clan or future battle members that are on the team at battle start. And the future members, obviously, or the Vegeta clan, it's dependent on the higher number of them. So if you have one of each, it doesn't count as 2. Now, one or more battle members will give him plus 50% to damage inflicted, which cannot be cancelled, and minus 15 to special arts move cost. And then 2 battle members will give him plus 40% to key recovery, as well as shortening his substitution time count by 2. Now, when changing cover, he will randomly destroy an enemy card, which is obviously great, and he will inflict all enemies with an attribute downgrade plus 10 to all arts card costs for 5 timer counts. His green ability restores his own key, gives plus 20% to damage inflicted, increases his own arts card draw speed by 1 level for 5 timer counts, randomly destroys 2 enemy cards, and seals the enemy's Rising Rush. And his Gallic Gun does plus 20% special move damage inflicted by your allies or your buddy upon its activation, which is obviously something that's pretty damn cool. Now, on top of all of that, realistically speaking, I think it's very obvious to see that Vegeta is very much so a utility-based character. He is someone that has a very positive effect on the game, but not always directly in damage. But don't get me wrong. Vegeta, with his active green card boosts and his passive boosts, can deal some pretty gnarly blast damage to the opposition, which I find not too bad, especially considering the vast majority of Trunks or Vegeta clan teams or future focused Vegeta teams tend to have a lot of strike damage already. So having a character that can put out some at least halfway decent blast damage is going to be something really helpful. Now, of course, all things aside, I would say Vegeta is in a solid space as a character. I think he serves his team. I think his Zenkai boost is moderately helpful. Purple, yeah, purple and tag future during battle. Really not the most insane collection of units. I think purple and future doesn't have a massive indicative character. Like, I don't think it has a huge like a huge character or anything. But the thing is I still think overall he's in a decent space. Purple future doesn't really right now have anyone, and I think that does to a certain point limit or hinder the functionality of the team just a tiny bit. So I think overall right now Vegeta himself as a unit is really, really good. I think you don't need to have necessarily a top line purple unit for him to functionally give his boost to. I think he himself as a standalone character provides enough to the team whereby I would say I don't have really a big problem with how he functions. I think for me, he functions at the level I want him to function. He performs the tasks that ultimately you want him to perform. And I think, he can make an impact even without necessarily being the absolute biggest player when it comes to the PvP meta space. So for me, 100%, he is an absolutely amazing unit. And I think he's probably, right now, at this point in time, the best of the 1% sparking units. Pretty much I have no doubts in saying that. Like, I think he ultimately is the best 1% character, and definitely is an absolute beast at this point in time. But that pretty much should cover it. I don't think there's anything else really to mention about him. I use him right now as a mainstay in my team, which is this team that you can see on the screen right now. The Trunks, Vegeta, and other Trunks. And for me it works out great. Although we're not necessarily getting the greatest output out of Vegeta, I think he still definitely manages to pull his load quite a bit. And even using him as the sacrificial Rising Rush protagonist is sometimes necessary. But overall, I'd have to say Vegeta looks pretty cool, looks pretty good, and I think ultimately gets a really, really really good praise from me in terms of just being useful and strong and a great option overall. But that is pretty much it for me. Obviously, guys, if you have Vegeta, he still has a ton of usability. Try and see if you can sell him on somewhere. He is really quite good as a character. So I think ultimately that's it.